Dementialand, a place for time travelers and clairvoyants, written and narrated by Suzka. I believe the dementias gave my mother special powers. Violet had the ability to move around in timeless dimensions. She was able to return to places she once lived and create conversations in different languages with those who passed away. She was a time traveler, a clairvoyant, and at times invincible. Of course, I was curious, but I knew the only way for me to understand her powers was for me to drop my own memory, to go into my mother's world, the world of Dementialand. I look at things differently than most people. I've always been that way. So it goes without question that my approach to my mother's dementia was contrary to the norm. My experience was genuinely wonderful. I can't fully explain it. I am an artist, a painter, and the last person who would be a caregiver. But when my mother was diagnosed with dementia and could not live alone, I was drafted. There was no choice. I left my art studio in California and moved in with my mother to a place I respectfully called Dementialand. It was a place where I was no longer a daughter, but rather part of an oddball cast one would expect to see in a Fellini or Harry Potter movie. Some living, some dead, and others purely delusional. For those looking in, it might sound crazy and confusing at times, but for me, I found a value in the cockeyed, nonsensical rhythm of the dementia's doings and the difficult pain of letting go. My mother and I grew outside ourselves, outside the fit of our own opinions and beliefs, positions and titles. For the first time, I saw my mother not curtained by her motherhood or my ego. Any thought I had about memory or identity changed drastically. Now I write about it almost every day, trying to figure out what actually happened during that time. Why was this place that I call Dementialand so inviting? This is my story about the wonders I found in Dementialand, based on the book and the Dementialand podcast. Chapter 1, Wet Canvases. My name is Suzka. I'm an artist and a painter. I live in a converted warehouse in California. Well, I used to. But I clearly remember the night just before my life was about to change. I stood in the middle of my studio looking at the night's work. Oh, everything around me was resoundingly wet and alive. There must have been at least 20 or 30 paint cans, gallon size, that sat in the middle of the floor in the pool of its color. The cans' rims were gummed like the smile of a toothless old man. Paint, lovely paint, undisciplined, wild, and yummy. Why, I could rub my nose in it and lick it off its lids. There's a delicious substance to it all. I was working on 5, maybe 6 paintings at the same time. 2 hung on the back wall and 3 laid on the floor. I moved from one to another, sometimes in dance. Oh, paint flew in the air. Colors spread far past the canvas's edges. The entire room was most spectacular. I could not prevent myself from thinking. There could be a masterpiece of the century right in front of my eyes. A great work of art that would hang in prominent museums. You know, the ones with heavy Art Deco doors and marbled floors and domed ceilings. It would hang next to a Giacometti or a Picasso. And students on field trips, oh, they'd pour out of their buses and rush to see the incredible work of art. Other great works in the museum would talk at nighttime, after the museum was closed, about the Suzka painting going on tour and hanging in other museums throughout the world. Maybe they'd hang in Barcelona or in the Pompidou in Paris. Oh, my paintings never traveled over the oceans. For now they were just wet canvases drying themselves in my warehouse. The whole room was an illusion. Under its surface was where I lived.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.